Hey everyone, how are you? All right. The details are coming out of what happened in Israel, so I figured we go through it. I know initially, like when the news articles first come out, things don't seem as bad, and then more facts come out, more facts come out, more facts come out. So it gets worse and worse the more you know. And everyone's got cell phones these days, so like everyone's live streaming constantly, and if anything bad is happening, they're recording it. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that's going to come out that we don't know, but I at least wanted to cover, some things that did come out. So let's bring it over here. You should be able to see this. All right, let's check this out. So this is the rave. This is the rave that they had. I think they'll go into the timing, but I think it's in the morning. I don't think it's late at night. I think it's in the morning. And they're dancing around. Got a nice statue up there. So we'll watch it through, and I'll do commentary as usual through it.
Nearly 3,000 people attended the Tribe of Nova
3,000
festival in Reim, Israel on Saturday.
Right, everyone's dancing around. They're having a good time. Looks like the sun is coming up here, so these folks have been out, I'm guessing, all night. I don't know how they manage to stay up that late, but people keep weird hours and they do weird things. So let's just see.
It would become one of the deadliest sites of Hamas's surprise attack on
Look
Israel.
at this.
Over
Wow.
250 bodies have been recovered from the festival grounds
250.
and surrounding area. Here's how the attack unfolded. The festival took place just 3 miles from the Gaza Strip. Attendees arrived by car and bus on Friday.
All right, 3 miles. So they're really close to Gaza. I guess they have the fencing system there, but they're very close. 3 miles. I guess they could hear it. I'm not sure how loud it was, but it's a concert, so I'm sure it's pretty loud. So you get the main entrance here, 2 stages. All right.
Just before sunrise on Saturday, the all-night rave is still in full swing.
Before sunrise. So they're going all night long. Who knows? I don't know how long the festival is, like days or anything, but they've been dancing around all night long. I don't know anything about drug usage at this particular event, but I know what raves used to be like, especially if you're like dancing all night long. I don't think it's just alcohol, if I had to guess, but I could be wrong. Maybe nobody there did drugs. I don't know. Either way, they've been dancing all night long, and now the sun is coming up. So somehow they've been up all night long. They're excited. They're just living life, as if nothing's going on. So we'll see how it plays out.
At around 6:30 a.m., concertgoers notice a barrage of rockets.
Right, 6:30 they see the rockets.
Soon after, the music halts.
Party's over. I think that's the security team there. Right, they're hearing the explosions, so now they know something's
As the
up.
rockets continue, festival organizers tell attendees to leave.
All right, now the party's officially over. They're telling everybody, like, either get on the ground or leave. I think leave at this point, so they know what's going on now.
Around 7 a.m., confusion turns to panic as attackers reach the festival.
Right, so the attackers, the Islamic terrorist, right, following the horrible example of their false prophet Muhammad, these are his people, following his religion, right? It's evil. What you're going to see is evil. So. Lie down next to the car. Yeah.
Many attempt to escape dirt roads that lead to a...
All right, so I guess that's the main stage there. And this is the parking, and they're going to kind of run out. I guess it's north and south there, so let's see.
road, but it creates bottlenecks. Drivers encounter gunfire from multiple directions.
Right. So this clearly was planned out. They knew the event was going on. They know where they're parking. It's only like 3 miles from Gaza, so they know this area. And you know how it is when you're leaving a concert, right? You always have those bottlenecks with traffic. So they knew what they were doing. And it says like the shooting was coming from all angles. So basically this was a kill box, is what it sounds like, the way they had it set up. I'm surprised more people didn't get killed, to be honest. You know, if they set this up and they sent in enough people and they came in from all angles with the bottleneck in traffic, I'm surprised. I think there was like 200. I've seen like 260, 250. So it's awful.
Many, like Deborah Abraham, abandoned their vehicles to take cover.
Yeah, they're running for their lives.
One car makes it out and drives south, but just before 7:40 a.m., they encounter a group of Hamas fighters.
So this is like one car. I guess the first one that made it out, they made it all the way up there to that cross section there, and then they're going to run into Hamas right here. Look at that. Absolute savages. They have no idea who's in this car, aside from the fact that they're not part of Hamas, and they know that they were at that concert and possibly Jewish. They didn't ask any questions, right? Look at what happened. Here they are. So they're driving up.
And they encounter a group of Hamas fighters.
Driving up, boom. As soon as they drove up, all they wanted to do was kill them. He didn't ask questions. He wasn't asking for paperwork, nothing. The only criteria for that savage to kill you is that you were at that concert and you were not a Hamas fighter, right? That's a jihadi right there. They don't care, right? They have evil in their heart. All they want to do is kill. All they know how to do is kill because they're following the example of a false prophet, violent warlord, right? And now they're going to emulate that. But at the end of the day, when you take it all the way back, right, to just the bare facts, we're souls inside of vessels, inside of bodies. That soul is depraved. That soul does not have a connection with God. They've chosen to go another way, which is why that person right there has the capability within them to walk up and slaughter someone who just drove up in a car, shoot them in the face, in the chest. I don't know, I can't see it, but as soon as they drive up, just kill them. And not only that, he just killed them, right? Whoever was in that car, I'm assuming. And that's not it, right? He's just getting started. He came out that day, right, to slaughter as many people as he could and then hightail it back into Gaza. So he came out with slaughter on his mind. His soul is disgusting. It's covered in sin. There's a canopy of sin covering his soul. And he's able to go out and just slaughter people. Imagine the kind of person you have to be able to just walk around and shoot people in the face. Not even care. Right? Over religious differences, over land disputes, but take the land disputes out of it. Yeah, that's part of it. But at the core, right? Which is why your religion is so important. At the core, this person is living in rebellion against God. Clearly. Because you're supposed to treat others the way you want to be treated, right? The way you would like God to treat you, that's how you should treat other people. He's broken many commandments, right? He's worshiping a false god. He's murdering people. He's got evil intent in his heart, right? Malice, wrath, all of it. This guy does not have the light of God inside of him. He is a savage, a war savage, right? He's got a large spiritual deficit. And now he's committed a grievous sin of murdering an innocent person. I don't know this person or their story, but they were just at a concert, right? That's the biggest sin they committed today. They were at a concert. They were partying all night. Whatever happened there happened. We can look at the dress code. Obviously, I've already done videos on that. This place is a mess, right? This place is not nice. This is not a nice place, which is why it's full of people like this. And that's why these things are allowed to happen, because we don't live within God's commandments, right? We live outside of God's advice and guidance. And that's why this world is fallen. And I don't want to keep stressing that. I don't want to upset you or anything like that. But you do need to understand, what's going on here. Otherwise, you're never going to change. You'll keep living the way you're living. So let's just get through this video. So they got roadblocks set up. They're just going to slaughter these people.
Later, on the same road, more fighters are seen closer to the festival, assaulting civilians at a bomb shelter.
Yeah, kicking them in the face. Yeah. They don't value human life. Like, to them, you're basically just some animal that they can slaughter. Right? Other proof that this place is exactly what it is. Right? The innocent animals get slaughtered every single day. They have a Holocaust every single day. No one cares. Those beings are created by God, just like you are. Right? And you're supposed to treat others, all others, like you want to be treated. And these people, right? These Muslim terrorists here, they're treating these concert goers as if they're just scum. Right? Absolute scum. Like, just, they slaughter them like animals. That's essentially what they're doing. They give them no value. None. They don't see them as people because they're evil. Right? They have evil in their heart. I don't know what happened in their lifetimes to get them to this stage, but at this point, where they are today, their soul is encrusted with evil and sin. And they've committed grievous sins this day. Murdering people. Heard reports they raped people. There's reports that they've, just like in biblical times, right? They've cut the babies out of women alive, right? Cut the children out of their bellies. Imagine what that looks like. Raped, set on fire. They've decapitated children, right? I think someone said like stacked them up in the house. Now imagine, like I said, everyone's got cell phones. Everyone records things. Everyone's got like little Nest cams and webcams and all kinds of stuff running all the time. So all of these tragedies that happened, they're on video somewhere. Like the government has access to them. The social media companies have access to them because a lot of people are probably live streaming and things like that. So these videos, they're out there. But unfortunately, the governments don't want you to know, like, how bad things are, or your individual nations are scared that you'll understand the truth and figure out like how screwed up, we are as a species. And they don't want you to know. They want you to live in that bubble, right? Especially here, like in the US. And I know people like in my life personally and just, around town, like they're oblivious. They'll see stuff on the news and be like, wow, that's terrible. Click. Go over to ESPN, right? And watch sports ball for 4 or 5 hours and sit around and talk about what the quarterback did and the running back and, oh, this person's getting traded to this team and, blah, 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 right? Talk about nonsense. Literally watch this for a few seconds and click off like, oh, that's terrible. And then right back to sports ball or cricket or soccer or whatever, whatever sport you want to talk about. It's just a distraction, right? And that's what they want you to do. They want you like to sit around and watch movies, right? Watch sitcoms and reality TV and watch sports and just enjoy your life. They want you to, it's a detriment to you because you don't realize the spiritual battle that we are in, right? You live in a world, in a place where people like this, right? People like this exist. And that's where we are. So you can live in your little cocoon, right? Just live in your little cocoon and just pretend that we aren't where we are. That's fine. But that cocoon's going to get pierced. And things are going to continue to happen. I'm sure you've seen things happening around the world. Meteorological events, natural events, events like this, right? Battles going on all over the place, right? Wars, rumors of wars, all that, which, I mean, come on, that's all the time anyway. But you're going to see this, ratchet up. And you need to understand that you're in a spiritual battle, right? If you don't know that, you're not going to win. You need to understand what is going on here. So you can, water this down and call it a land dispute or whatever, but when you take it all the way back to the core, it's a spiritual problem. We are all living in rebellion against God and God's commandments and God's guidance. If you want to, that's a nicer way to look at it, God's guidance. And evil is allowed to exist here. And it has for a very long time. It's been winning for quite some time. But people live in their little vacuum, so they don't notice it, right? Or they click on the news for like a second, they see the story, and they go, oh, that's so sad. And then they click off and they go back to their sports or their pornography or their mass consumerism, or they just buy things to stay happy, or they just stay on vacation, right? They're having a good time. They're happy. They're good to go. While they're neglecting their soul, which is just stacking up sin constantly. But that's the issue, right? It's a spiritual battle that you're in. This is not just a land dispute, or it's not just, two tribes warring against each other. This is a spiritual battle, and you need to understand that. So you need to get out of your cocoon. You need to get spiritually red-pilled so that you understand where we are and what's going on and what's at stake. Because this place has been run by evil folks for a very long time, who are all about power and money and sex and lust and gluttony and everything else, and wrath, all of it, right? They love power, they love money, and they use it to control everything here, right? Thankfully, God in his wisdom decided that, hey, you people have no idea how to run this place, so God is going to send help again, right? Going to send help again. And this time, there won't be any denying what's happening, because we'll have all the video and, sound and all the audio, video, all of it. We'll have all of it. And I'm sure people will be documenting this all over the world. So there's going to be no way for this to get messed up this time. And hopefully this will be the last time this is required. But you need to understand what is going on and where you are. You need to get it. Like, get out of that cocoon. Because trust me, I can see these videos and I know what's going on, right? They're cutting babies out of women while they're alive. Go back to the Old Testament, you'll see all the nasty stuff they're doing here. You're setting people on fire. You're bashing skulls in. You're taking hostages, right? You're taking war spoils. It's all, this is Old Testament. These people are living, right? Like it's 1000 BC, 2000 BC, 600 AD, right? Common era, whatever you want to call it. This is what's going on, but it's a spiritual battle. It has to do with sin, which is living outside of God's direction, which is exactly how this place got like this, unfortunately. So you need to wake up, right? ESPN is not going to do anything for your soul. So you can try to stay in your little cocoon of sports ball and movies and reality TV, right? Eating trash food and just doing whatever you want, right? To being on vacation, being, happy. And a lot of that, honestly, is the fault of your governments. Because when things like this happen, they won't show you. They're so scared that you're going to figure out how screwed up this place is that it's going to fry your brain. That's why they hide it from you. And also, they don't want to scare you too much, because then you'll stop feeding the economy, right? You'll stop buying things. And this little house of cards they've built, right? Their GDP built on this little house of cards of mass consumerism. As soon as you figure out what's really going on here, you're going to be scared. And you're going to probably change your spending habits. And then your precious stock market is going to crumble, right? because all the retained earnings are going to go down and everyone's precious profit and their 401ks and all of that's going to crumble if mass consumerism, if people stop indulging themselves and being gluttonous in their spending, right? And just buying and buying and buying everything, the economies, the way they're built, will crumble. And that's probably why the governments don't want you to realize what's going on. That we're in a spiritual battle. You've been getting your butts kicked for a very long time. Still happening. And God, in His wonderful love for us, is like, hey, I realize things are not going well, so I'm going to send help. But you have to choose which side you want to be on, right? Light, dark, in the middle, in various stages. That's a choice you have to make. There was a book, Paradise Lost or something like that. It was like one of the little, I didn't read it, but one of the sentences, I think it was like, would you choose to reign in hell, or would you rather serve God? So it's your choice, right? You can serve God, listen to God's directions, guidance, commandments, whatever you want to call them, dictates, or you can reign in hell, right? That's just how they put it in the poem or the book, whatever. It's an interesting question, though. Like, if you ask yourself, like, well, what would you choose? Would you rather reign and be happy and just have the money and the power and everything, all of it, and just have a good time and just stay on vacation, right? You're watching sports, you're watching reality TV, you're good, you're happy, temporarily. Or would you rather serve God, right? Where you're not chasing around luxury items and gigantic houses you can't afford and don't need, and then 10, 20 cars and all this luxury garbage, right? All this gluttonous behavior of mass luxury and mass consumerism. What would you choose, right? If you had the choice, like, hey, do you just want to go ham and just have whatever you want and reign in hell? Or would you rather serve God? So it's an interesting question. You should ask yourself that and really think about the answers. But I think that's why a lot of times they'll hide this stuff from you. Granted, some of this is coming out, and thankfully it is, because you shouldn't shield people from the truth. It's fine to put a little warning on there and say, hey, this content is real, so you may not want to watch it, right? This content might pierce the veil of your little bubble that you've created, where you think this place is amazing and your country's amazing and you're amazing. Like, it's probably going to pierce that. So maybe put a little warning on there. But it's not right to let people walk around stupid and dumb, right? And happy, right? Blind, dumb, and happy, just walking around. Ooh, this place is great. This is amazing. This place is not great, and it's not amazing. If it was, you wouldn't need a savior, right? If this was amazing, why would God have to bail you out? So you might want to think about that. But we'll continue to watch the video. But I do think that governments need to be a lot more honest with the information that they release in media companies. I know you don't want to upset people, but you need to think about them eternally and not within like an 80-year time frame. And regardless of profit, right? You're scared they might stop buying things. They might, keep their money in savings. Look, it doesn't matter. The money's irrelevant. Money doesn't matter. So you need to be honest with people so that they know exactly what they're dealing with. Right? You're in a spiritual battle. If you haven't figured that out yet, you will. But governments, social media companies, you need to let people know what's going on. Otherwise, they're just going to stay stupid. They're going to sit around. They're going to watch sports ball. They're going to watch movies. They're going to watch reality TV. They're going to have no idea where they are and what's going on here. And they're never going to make it to the promised land. Right? So we'll fix this place. We'll get it up to heavenly standards as close as we can. But that's going to require everyone to change who they are. Everyone's going to have to agree that we are going to live within God's commandments. That's the only way you're going to fix a fallen place, is for everyone to get on the boat. Right? Everyone needs to get on the boat. You need to agree to live within God's guidance. You might want to listen to the person that created this place, even though we've decided to go our own way and not listen. And we will, unfortunately, suffer the consequences of that. Because here, bad things are allowed to happen. So, we should listen, and we should change, and we should get in alignment with God's direction. But let's continue the video. These people.
The southern escape route is now blocked.
It's evil.
Around 8:30 a.m., security attempts to hold off Hamas fighters approaching
This is security for the festival, the rave.
That escape route is now blocked too.
Right, so the north and the south. So they got them all pinned in. I don't know how many of the Hamas people they had there, but they had them pinned in. It was a kill box.
Large groups make desperate attempts to flee, running across open fields.
Look how quickly their lives changed. They were sitting there, like, partying all night long. I don't know how long they've been there, but they were partying all night long. It's a rave. They had the music pumping. Who knows what they were on at the time? Maybe nothing. But, probably sitting around, like, smoking cigarettes, having a good time, listening to the music, just living their life, man, living their best life. Unbeknownst to them, they're evil savages with guns, right? Shooting at the country, coming in from all sides, right? They're coming in from all sides, and they don't even realize it. They're sneaking up on them. They're blocking their ways of exit. All that stuff is going on, and they have no idea. They're oblivious. They're just sitting around enjoying themselves, having some recreational fun. Partying until 6 in the morning. Sun comes up, and all of a sudden life got very real. And they were blindsided because they didn't know. Because they were living in the bubble, right? They thought everything's good, we're fine. There's no evil in the world, we're just out here partying, 6 in the morning. And then their lives changed just like that, immediately.
Others remain at the grounds.
Can't imagine how horrible that must have been.
Hiding in dumpsters.
And you have to imagine, like, they're having the time of their life. They're at this rave concert. They're jamming out. They're just loving life, right? They're all dressed up in their club gear, which is basically nothing, right? You're partially nude just walking around. And then this happens. And then before you know it, you're getting shot at by a Muslim terrorist, and you end up in a dumpster. And this girl, at least to this point, is one of the lucky ones, because she's stuck in that dumpster, but at least she's still breathing. But look how quickly her life changed, because she had no idea what was really going on. She was just sitting there enjoying life, and then all of a sudden, everything changed, just like that.
And seeking protection from security personnel.
So this is security for the event. I'm assuming they were armed. I don't know. Completely outgunned. Probably had small arms, pistols maybe, if anything.
Just before 9:30 a.m., Hamas fighters can be seen hunting down anyone remaining on the grounds.
Yeah, they're mopping
Someone
up people.
appearing to play dead moves.
Ugh.
A fighter notices and executes them.
Wow. So this guy walks up, the guy in the red shirt here, He walks up and just casually sees the guy faking that he's already dead or he thinks he's wounded. He walks up and just shoots him. It's probably like a 30 caliber bullet, just literally shoots the guy point blank while he's looking at him, right? That's the kind of people you're dealing with. That's the kind of evil you are dealing with. You have to be an evil person to be able to do that. You have to have no regard for human life whatsoever. You don't see that person as a human. You see them as less than human. You see them as basically an animal, which is also proof of the wonder of this place. Because we sit around and slaughter the animals. I'll save it for another video, but I'm just saying that's how he's treating that person, right? Another being, if you want to look at it that way. So he's treating that person as if they have no soul. Just walked up and just murdered him. And to keep walking like it's nothing. Doesn't say anything, doesn't get excited, just boom, and keep walking. No regard.
Survivors the journal spoke to describe an hours-long ordeal of being hunted by Hamas militants. Devorah Avraham moves from place to place to stay alive.
Wow.
After many hours, she makes it to safety. Those who didn't escape were killed or taken hostage.
There it is. Yeah, so I guess she got taken hostage going back to Gaza. And I think that's the boyfriend there. So she's going back. Who knows what's going to happen to her? But look at who you're dealing with, right? Look at how women are treated in Islam. Look at the value they give women in general, much less these terrorists, right? So do you think they're safe? No, clearly not. What's happening to them? Hopefully nothing. Hopefully they're just being held for ransom, but understand what you're dealing with. When you're dealing with evil, right? People just completely covered in evil, they don't care. Look how far they've already gone. They just murdered 260 people, I think. Do you think they're going to give a crap about raping people? And lopping heads off and cutting babies out and setting people on fire? No. They're all in. They're on the evil train and they don't care. They've already done so much dirt, it doesn't matter. Right? They're not worried about it. They don't care. So, but hopefully God softens their heart. I mean, it doesn't look likely. They'll have to choose it because of free will. But hopefully God softens their heart and they give these people up alive and don't do anything more than they've already done.
Many were brought back to Gaza and paraded through the streets.
Yeah. That's the kind of mentality you're dealing with right there. Bunch of savages willing to do evil deeds and then cheer about it and then parade them through the streets like trophies. Allah Akbar, like, granted, you follow a false religion. It's fake, right? Run by a false prophet who came like 600 years after God walked the earth. So it's interesting. Like, what kind of God do they believe in? You believe in a God that would want you to go murder people and cut heads off and cut babies out and rape people and burn people and stab people? What kind of God is that? Because it sounds like the devil. It doesn't sound like God. Wouldn't you think that God is benevolent and loves us, right? Loves his creations, wants to help them? So how in the world can you follow a religion that celebrates and runs them through town like trophies men, women, and children that you have killed and raped and burned and stabbed and every other, interesting way you find to hurt people and kill them. Like, who do you think Allah is? What do you think Allah is about? Do you really want to worship a God that would be okay with this kind of slaughter? Because it sounds like you worship the devil, not God. Right? If you wanted to worship like a fallen angel, that's kind of what I would expect to see, right? You're glorifying, harming beings, right? People with souls in them. Right? God gave us souls, right? And you're glorifying, harming them and hurting them. You think your Allah is okay with that? Allah, no, you're not worshiping God. I don't know what you're worshiping. It sounds more like the devil, to be quite honest. It doesn't sound like God. So if you're a Muslim out there, this is your religion. So you might want to take a deep look at what your beliefs are, because they're 100% wrong. There might be some good tenets, some nice things they sprinkled in there, but understand that Christianity is the way. It's the only way, because God put on a body to come down here and tell you about it. So you should have listened, but then 600 years later, you end up with this somehow. Let's keep it moving.
In a video circulated by Hamas affiliates, one captive can be seen wearing what looks like the Blue Festival wristband. Many attendees remain unaccounted for. Hamas has since pledged to execute hostages as retaliation for Israeli airstrikes.
Yeah, now they're saying they want to kill the hostages. I guess they'll hold them and try to get other prisoners from Israel back, or money. I'm not sure, or both. I'm not sure what the end game is there. I mean, they're willing to do anything, right? You see how they operate. So, all right, that's that one. I got one more, and then I don't want this to go too long, so we'll bring this one over here. Yeah. It's like 5 minutes. This one should be pretty quick to get through.
Well, throughout the day here, the Israeli military has been recovering the bodies of whole families, including several children.
All right, they're recovering entire families of people. It's not just a one-off or a two-off. I think there's like up to 1,000 people or 1,200 people. They just slaughtered. They went in there to kill as many people as they could, and it's not even just death. They didn't just shoot them. They enjoyed it from the way they present it, right? Because they had little videos where they're playing with the girl's hair and they're parading people through town. It's absolute evil, and it seems like, quite honestly, like they enjoyed it. That's the way it looks. That's the way it appears to me. So you have to ask yourself, how evil can a person be to be able to do this? And not only do it, right? Not only do it under duress, like, you can't even say that, well, because of their religion they did it, or because of their terrorist group they did it because they had to. No. They literally enjoyed it because of how, you can tell by how they treated these people, right? Stacked up bodies, burnt them, cut babies out of stomachs. That's unnecessary, right? If you want to kill someone, you just shoot them. No. You take the time to cut the child out of the womb. You're a disgusting savage, right? You have no connection with God. You're evil. You are literally playing for the other team. So you should understand the kind of battle you're in, because we are in a spiritual battle, whether you believe it or not. You can believe the world is flat, and you can be absolutely wrong. Those two things can happen at the same exact time, right? You think the world is flat, but the world is not flat, right? Those two things can exist at the same time. You are in a spiritual battle for your soul. And the quicker you realize that, the better. And then you'll understand what's going on here and what's at stake.
Down in a rural community, just a mile from the border with Gaza. Israeli soldiers on the scene describe it as a massacre. Our international editor, Jeremy Bone, has been to the village of Kfar Azar, where the bodies today have been recovered.
The first few days of war, this small Israeli community called Kfar Aza are a microcosm of Israel's trauma and a glimpse of what might come next. Israeli troops only seized back full control of the kibbutz this morning. It's one of a series of small Israeli
I think this video
villages
is from
along
last
the
night.
Gaza wire. When we arrived, they were still firing on houses
Those aren't leather boots.
on the Gaza side. Israeli soldiers started their assault here at around 6 o'clock on Saturday evening, 12 hours or so after Hamas attacked. And during that day, Hamas carried out a massacre. Kfar Aza was taken by surprise, like everywhere else Hamas attacked. The kibbutz.
Right, and you look at it, this is just someone's house, right? This is not some military compound. This is just someone's house. They were just sitting there waking up, having, water or whatever they were having in the morning, eating vegetables. I don't know, but it looks like just someone's house. And then these people showed up and just started slaughtering everything, all right? Devoting everything to destruction.
Armed civilian volunteers died fighting back.
Civilian volunteers against hardened terrorists that went there with the mindset that they're going to kill everything and maybe take a few hostages. Yeah. It's nice to defend yourself, but you're probably up against more than you could handle that day.
Dead Hamas gunmen are decomposing where they were killed.
That's another thing. Can you imagine the poor soldiers that have to go deal with this? They have to cordon off these villages and they have to go in there. And before the news articles come out, before these videos come out to where people can see it, they see it real time. They walk up on it real time. Or after the fact, whenever they can get in there, right? But eventually, those bodies start to smell. The flies come in. Other organisms are in the body. Can you imagine that environment, what it's like? And what that does to you? You're never going to forget that smell. The smell of blood in the air, the insects and everything flying around. You're going to have to go in and see what they did to these people. So you're going to have to walk in there and see a child with its head cut off. Or see a mother on the ground with a baby that was cut out of her womb. People that were set on fire. People in defensive positions when they died. All of that. It's going to get ingrained into your head and you'll never be able to forget it. If you ever smell that again, it's going to take you right back to that moment. So I pray that God gives them peace to where they can deal with what they have to look at and what they're going to have to deal with for a while. Because this event here, it appears like it's just getting started.
The evidence is that they stormed through the kibbutz, killing families, including babies.
Entire families and children. They don't care. They don't value your life, your body that has a soul in it. They don't care. They're just in there wiping you out, slaughtering you like animals.
Only this morning could Israeli troops finish recovering all the civilians Hamas killed.
They have just jihad machine to kill everybody, without weapons, without nothing, just
civilians, no weapons, nothing. Some of the civilian patrol may have had them, but these are just people enjoying their morning. And these savages roll into town and kill everything.
normal citizens that want to take their breakfast and that's all. And they kill them and they cut some of their heads. It's a aggressive thing to see. It's very difficult to see it. But we must remember who is the enemy and what our mission. Our mission is the justice. We're in the right side and all the world need to be behind us.
The woman under this cover, another officer said, was decapitated. He said they killed her in her front garden.
That's what you're dealing with. I mean, this is pure evil. This is what's out there. This is what exists here, right? So it's going to take a while to clean this place up. And it's going to require people to voluntarily choose to follow God's guidance, God's commandments, right? So if you want to live in a covenant relationship with God, you have to listen and you have free will. So you have to choose it. But it's the only way we're going to fix this place. because this place is filled to the brim with sin, loaded. It's a fallen world. It's absolutely stacked with sin. It's in everybody. But a lot of people don't even realize it because we're locked into our normal lives, right? Our normal, just consumerist lives. We like to sit around and watch sports, and we like to, wax our sports cars and play with all of our luxury items and acquire all of our money and, precious stones and everything else. And we just like to live like this is a nice place, and it's not. It's nice for a few people. They think it's nice, but they're not thinking in eternal time frames. They're thinking in the very minute time frame of just your life, which honestly is nothing. When you think about eternity, your little 80 years, right? It's not much. And the way we're consuming resources on this planet and the way we treat this planet, it's going to get worse. So you have to think about the people behind you, right? Your soul's eternal, that's fine. But you have to think about people, your kids, grandkids, their grandkids, people behind you. We have to leave them a planet that they would actually want to live on. A planet that would be hospitable to human beings. So we have to get the consumerism under control. We have to understand the spiritual battle. We have to change everything. We have to change the way we live, our mentalities, our spirit, our souls need to get uninfected. They need to be cleaned. We need to live within God's guidance. This place is a mess. And it's got to get fixed, and it's going to take time. But, if you don't know what's going on and you want to live in your little bubbles, it's never going to get fixed. Because you're just going to be sitting around and you're going to be like these people that were at the concert. You're just going to get blindsided. You're going to be just enjoying life, and then one day, out of the blue, you're going to die or something's going to happen, and you're going to get woken up. But it's going to be too late. So it's better that you know what's going on and the situation than not know. Because if you don't know, you're never going to change. And like I said, things are going to get very interesting here for a while. And it has to happen because God is drawing us near. Otherwise, we're just going to stay blind. So God's going to take our eyelids off, and we're going to be forced to see it. But we'll be better for it, especially eternally and short term. But it's going to take some work to get there.
Even for experienced soldiers, fighting their way back in against a determined enemy was hard going. How difficult was the fighting?
I cannot imagine.
It's a major.
Have you ever had to do anything like this before as a soldier?
Not like this.
All right, so he's a major. This guy's a major in the military. He's been there a while. Like he's come up through the ranks. He hasn't even seen anything like this. I think they were comparing it to the Yom Kippur War, and I don't think the death toll has reached that yet. But the way things are going, who knows?
What happens next? What do you do next? What does Israel do next?
I don't know. I will do what he will tell me to do. I will do. I hope that we will go inside.
Into Gaza?
Yeah.
That's going to be...
Well, I don't know how you couldn't go in, to be honest. I mean, otherwise you're going to have to just bomb them from planes and you're going to kill innocent people, which you're not allowed to do, right? You're not allowed to murder innocent people. So the option of just flying over there and destroying everything is not an option, right? That's going to fill you with sin because you're going to end up killing men, women, and children, innocents, right? Just like you're complaining about Hamas coming in there and doing that to these people. If you just fly over them and drop 2,000-pound munitions and just take out entire, neighborhoods, you'll be doing the same exact thing. So unfortunately, I don't see how you have any option not to go in there at some point in time after you try negotiations. But look at who you're negotiating with. Savages who behead babies and cut babies out and set people on fire and shoot them and every other horrible thing you can possibly think of, they do it because they don't care. So, yes, try to negotiate, but at the same time, understand what you're negotiating with, which is evil.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
The bodies of the dead Israeli civilians will have to be identified. Their murder was, without doubt, a war crime. But what about the Palestinian civilians Israel is killing in attacks on Hamas?
As you know, all armies have obligations under the laws of war to protect civilian life, even in war zones. Are you doing this with this level of airstrikes that are going on at the moment? And
No, you're not. You know you're blowing up innocent people, and you're still doing it because you're angry and you want to soften them up, whatever your military strategy is. Your military strategies come from people, right? Your strategies are supposed to come from God. And God is not okay with you killing innocent people just because it's collateral damage and you need to do it to soften them up to make it easier when you finally go in. So no, you don't get to just sit back and shoot cruise missiles and take out entire neighborhoods and just bomb places to death. No, because you're killing innocent people. You are no better than the people you want to go to war with because of what they did to you. That's that eye for an eye garbage where everyone ends up blind. It doesn't work. Yes, you're allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to kill innocent civilians. So just because you're upset and your pride is hurt, you don't get to just drop bombs and wipe out entire neighborhoods and kill people. Innocent people. Not Hamas, not the people that came over here and did all those heinous acts. Innocent people. You cannot tell me that 2.3 million people are all members of Hamas and they all run around shooting people down and cutting people to death. That's not true.
operation that might happen?
I'm sure that we fight for our value and our culture all our life.
Your culture doesn't matter unless your culture is based on God's advice and guidance. That's your culture that you built. What you should be listening to is God.
You know, you found his value and you keep your value in the same time. And I know that we will be very aggressive and very strong, but we keep our moral and our value. We are Israel.
Morals based on what? Morals based on God's guidance? Or what you think God would tell you to do? Because those are two different things. You have what God tells you to do, and you have what you think God is telling you to do. Those are two different things.
We are Jewish, and you know, war is a very difficult theater, a lot of problem. People that stay in the battlefield are suffer a lot. You can see what's happening here. But we come to kill the enemy, not a civilian in their bed.
How can you say that? You're there to kill the enemy, not the civilians. You're dropping, I'm sure some of those are 2,000 pound munitions, 1,000 pound, 500 pound, whatever. You drop, I've seen some of the video. You're leveling entire neighborhoods. They've done drone video. The neighborhoods are gone. You're telling me you didn't kill any civilians? Come on. Oh, here we go.
But in only a few days, Israel has
Look at this.
inflicted immense damage in Gaza.
Right?
So,
Look at this right here. That entire neighborhood just got wiped out. Now you're telling me you didn't kill any innocent civilians doing that? All of Hamas just neatly lined up in there so that you could kill them? And now what happens to these people? There's like 2.3 million people, right, in Gaza? And it's very tight. Like it's very per capita, it's very tight, packed in place. And now you're destroying all the places where they're going to live, where they have no electricity, no food, no water, no medicine, right? So you're killing them one way or the other. So where exactly do you expect them to go? You know, I mean, where are they going to go? Down to Egypt? Like, where are they going? You're just going to create a refugee crisis if you don't kill them all. So this situation this is not going to end well at all.
supplies of food, water, and power, and killed hundreds of civilians.
Yeah, already killed hundreds of civilians. And then you're knocking out the food and water and medicine, which is just going to kill people slowly over time. And they have nowhere to live. You know, whatever nurses and doctors they have, you're killing all their major cities, right? Or major areas. So they probably lived in here, so hopefully they didn't get killed. and now they have nowhere to live, and then somehow they're supposed to tend to people in a hospital or a medical facility. Like, what is the game plan? Unless you plan to go in there and literally just devote everyone to destruction and kill every man, woman, and child inside Gaza, how do you expect this to play out? Where do those people go? What do you expect to happen here? Because look at this. Look at what you're doing. I understand you're mad at the 1,500 or however many it was, terrorists that came in there and did that, but look at what you're doing. They came in and shot up your, right? Your what are they, settlements or whatever. So you went in there and you shot those up. You wiped out an entire city from the way it looks, or a neighborhood. You just wiped it off the map. So as far as proportionality, this looks pretty horrific also.
Palestinian suffering, Israel says.
There we go. Palestinian girl. Now that girl doesn't look like she could hold an AK-47 or whatever gun they used and run around and kill people. And her mom, I don't know these people, but I will assume, right, that's just an innocent civilian with her child that's been hurt from a bomb that was dropped from a plane. And Gaza has no air force that I know of, right? They're not going to get up there with a paraglider and take down an F-16. And they don't have any air defenses that I'm aware of. Maybe like, shoulder fire rockets. Maybe. I don't even see those. They got a few rockets they shoot off, but you're just shooting fish in a barrel. Not that you should do that either. But look at this. These are innocent people getting murdered. And you're going to claim the moral high ground when you're killing civilians just like they did? It's impossible. If you were living within God's guidance, you would know that you cannot hurt innocent civilians. That is murder. Thou shalt not murder. Right? Maybe you forgot those commandments. But now look at what's happening. And you're claiming moral high ground, and you're doing this to people.
Is the responsibility of Hamas. Israel's already been accused of breaking the laws of war, and that will get louder as more Palestinians.
Right. And then you're going to upset all the Muslims in the world, and they're going to see you exactly how Hamas sees you, right? As some dictatorial force that goes in there and just kills people at will. And you're giving them all the civilian deaths they need to make that connection. You're basically building propaganda videos for Muslim terrorist groups by doing this. Every one of these civilians that they get to wheel out and do video footage of and get their stories about how Israel flew over and bombed them and blew up their entire house and cut their limbs off, you're building recruiting videos for Islamic terrorist groups by how you're responding. You're not going in, you're not negotiating. I'm sure you're trying to negotiate, but you're not going in to deal with Hamas, people that are shooting at you, things like that. You're bombing the entire place out. Very tight-knit community, very small area, and you're dropping munitions large enough, probably 2,000 pounds or more, and just leveling entire buildings. You're destroying everything. All you're doing is making Islamic terrorist group recruiting films. That's all it is. You'll never be out of war. With this kind of strategy, you will forever be at war. Because you're feeding your enemy that you supposedly hate with recruiting material. Every time you blow up a civilian, you just created probably 10 more terrorists.
Civilians are wounded and killed. At Kfar Aza, Israeli troops were thinking of what's next. Perhaps a ground invasion of Gaza.
What choice do you have? You can't sit there and bomb them. You can't fire cruise missiles at them. You're going to end up killing innocent people. So you're going to have to go in. Unless you can negotiate with evil. Good luck with that.
It was tough enough for the Israelis to come in to recapture this area, these small border communities. It is a different order of military challenge to cross the wire, to get into Gaza, potentially to fight house to house at a time when Hamas will have made its plans and will be waiting. Some of these men are moving north in case war starts with Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese militia backed by Iran. What happened here is why Israel is shaken to its core, why it insists it must break Hamas, and it points to the danger and uncertainty ahead. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Kfar Aza.
Yeah. He doesn't look happy. He probably knows it's coming. That's it. I don't want this to run on too long, so I'll wrap this one up. But just understand that, God is going to draw us close. We are going to go through hard times, and it's necessary, because if we don't, we will never change. And this world will forever be fallen because of our ideals and our culture and our laws and everything. The only directives we should be following are the ones from God. That's who created us, right? That's our father figure, even though it's God, it's different. It's not really a sex kind of thing. But God gives us directions because He wants to help. And we don't listen. And we've turned this place into what it is today, which is not a nice place. And people live oblivious to it because they sit around watching sports and music videos and movies and reality TV and acquiring luxury items and counting the cash in their bank account and staying on vacation. And, some people are very happy here, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision. Do you choose to reign in hell, or would you serve God? And you need to decide which of those options you would take. And then you need to start living your life like that answer. So you need to ask yourself that. And I think once you figure that out, you'll be in a much better position. But this place is not in good shape. And it needs to be fixed. And it won't be quick. And it's going to require all of us to use our free will to make that decision. Have a good day.